right, I'll call this meeting to order at 7 o'clock. First off, adoption of the agenda. Any questions, any changes? If not, a motion would be in. Councillor Schlossberg.
Motion.
Question?
Moved by Councillor Schlossberger that the agenda be accepted as presented.
All in favor? Carried. Minutes, regular meeting, June 24th, 2019. Any errors, omissions, spelling errors?
Nope,
Nothing, Craig? Oh, good.
we're good.
We're good. If a motion would be a wonderful thing.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes as presented.
Question?
Moved by Councillor Zimmer that the regular meeting minutes of June 24th, 2019 be accepted as presented.
All in favor? Carried. Action items, number 1, bylaw 1670, ATB operational borrowing bylaw. Marion?
Okay, so this is for the purpose of our revolving line of credit for the sum of $450,000. And as presented at the last meeting, we just needed to amend that bylaw to show that there is a maximum rate of interest to be paid at 5%, not to exceed 5% on that. So we did receive first reading on June 24th, and this bylaw is presented for second and third reading tonight. Neither this bylaw or the credit card bylaw require advertising, so.
Okay.
I'll make that motion.
Any questions? Question, please.
Moved by Councillor Schultz to give bylaw number 1670, the ATB operational borrowing bylaw, second reading.
All in favor? Carried. Third reading? Councillor Moore? Question?
Moved by Councillor Moore to give bylaw number 1670, the ATB operational borrowing bylaw, third and final reading.
All in favor? Carried. Action item number 2, bylaw 1671. Marion?
So this is a borrowing bylaw for the purpose of our MasterCard accounts. Those cards are issued by AMSC and issued by the Bank of Montreal, and they consist of a value up to $50,000, and the maximum interest rate on that is 19.5%. So again, we passed first reading on June 24th. We would be looking for second and third reading tonight.
Could I get a first reading? Or second, I mean.
I'll go second reading.
Councillor Carlson? Question?
Moved by Councillor Carlson to give bylaw number 1671, the AMSC operational borrowing bylaw, second reading.
All in favor? Carried. Anybody interested in third reading? Councillor Schlossberger? Question?
Moved by Councillor Schlossberger to give bylaw number 1671, the AMSC operational borrowing bylaw, third and final reading.
All in favor? Carried. Wait, we're just ticking along here. Number 3, bylaw 1672, designated officers. Marion?
Okay, so this is a designated officers bylaw, and there's 2 amendments to this bylaw. We needed to include the assessment review board clerk position and those duties, as well as the fire chief, and that is all outlined in the bylaw. This bylaw received first reading June 24th, and again, we're looking for second and third reading this evening.
Okay. Second reading, anybody? Councillor
make that.
Schultz? Question?
Moved by Councillor Schultz to give bylaw number 1672, the designated officers bylaw, second reading.
All in favor? Carried.
I'll give bylaw 1672 third.
Councillor Zimmer? Question?
Moved by Councillor Zimmer to give bylaw number 1672, the designated officers bylaw, third and final reading.
All in favor? Carried. Action item number 4, bylaw 1673. Marion?
Okay, so this has been presented to the Admin Services Committee and is being presented for Council's review tonight. We would be looking for first reading. With the increase in the utility rates, there's been some concern with the higher bi-monthly bills, and so we looked at how we could actually put together a installment payment or monthly payments without having too much administrative burden and having to bill monthly. And so we're suggesting that we implement a utility payment program similar to what we have with the tax installment payment program, where once the bill is issued, the bills would be on a monthly basis, the payments would be made on a monthly basis. So the second payment would be the month following the bill being levied. And so also in here, we're recommending that then with those people who are on the utility payment plans, that they not be charged any penalties after the first month, as long as those payments continue to be made as agreed to. If that payment were to come back in any way, whether insufficient funds or whatever, then the penalty would be applied at that point. So that'll just help the residents be able to better manage
Do a monthly
from
payment.
a budget perspective. And then also, during the utility rate review, there was some discussion about the bulk water rates, and that was never included in the utility bylaw. It was overlooked. It was just the previous rate that was changed, that was done in 2012, was just done by way of notice, and it really should be included in our utility bylaw. So when we did the utility rate, if you recall, there was a significant review done of what those costs were, and we're recommending that those changes be made to that utility bylaw, and that we put that at the same rate as the agreement that we have with the MD for the out-of-town users, and that be 2 times the residential rate. So we would just be looking for first reading of that bylaw tonight.
Any questions?
Nope.
Could I get a motion for first reading?
I'll make that motion.
Councillor Carlson? Question?
Moved by Councillor Carlson to give bylaw number 1673, the water and sewer utility bylaw amendment, first reading.
All in favor? Carried. Number 6, correspondence. Alberta Municipal Affairs Ministry.
We have one more bylaw.
Oh, I skipped over number 5, bylaw 1674, the borrowing bylaw. Marion?
Okay, on June 10th, council passed bylaw 1669, which repealed the original borrowing for the multi-use facility renovation. And council has been committed through the FIPSI committee to continue forward with this project and provide for a new facility for the daycare, the play school, and FCSS administration and other community space. So the project is estimated to cost within the comparable range as the original renovation project was budgeted, at an estimated $3.8 million. So the intent would be to proceed with a $2.8 million borrowing, with a balance of $875,500 coming from other agencies, provincial agencies, grants, CFEP grants, MSI, those types of funding sources, and as well $112,500 to be funded from capital reserves. So the bylaw presented tonight reflects that. It is designated to be borrowed from the Alberta Capital Finance Authority by way of a debenture for a period not to exceed 30 years, and with a maximum interest rate of 4%. So we would be presenting that for first reading, and from there we would do the advertising.
Questions?
It's pretty much all the same as before.
Motion by Councillor Schlossberger. Yes, exactly the same as before. Question?
Moved by Councillor Schlossberger to give bylaw number 1674, a borrowing bylaw, first reading.
All in favor? Carried. Now, number 6, Alberta Municipal Affairs, Ministry of Municipal Affairs 2018-2019 report. Take this for information. Number 7, correspondence, Pincher Creek. It's about their fair days. And it is August,
17.
yes, August 17th. We already laid out who, and it was, Pincher was not part of that, was
I
it?
believe Pincher is one of the parades
Is it
that
one
we're
of
going
the-
to, and we have someone who is
So we've
intending
got
to
that all
take the
taken
float.
care of.
Brady,
Brady's
yeah,
actually-
Brady's
Brady's
taking
gonna do it?
Yeah.
So we're taking this for information. And if any councillors wanted to go to the parade,
They would be looking for RSVPs by August
Yeah.
9th if you do intend
So
to
if
go
anybody's
as
interested-
dignitaries, so.
please let Corinne know. Number 8, correspondence, Pleasant Fire Department, request for donation, Fire Department golf tournament. They have requested an amount of $150, which would give them, you would become a 3-alarm sponsor. Any input?
I think that's what we've done in the past, right?
Mhm.
So,
Is it the 150 is the amount we've done in the past?
a gift basket.
We've given them swag before, and as
Never-
well, we've done a gift basket, I believe, for $50.
We've
is the
never given
value.
them cash before.
Never cash, no, but we do have some swag that we can put into a gift basket.
So what's the feeling? Would you rather give some swag or
Cash.
some cash? I personally think we should do a cash donation, but that's just me.
Just because it's easier, or?
No, just because
Means more.
means more. I think we should give a little swag anyways that we can throw in
Mhm.
to some gifts
Advertising.
like cups or whatever, but a cash donation for some prizes out of the pro shop sort of thing.
Oh, yeah.
That's just my
a good
feeling on
idea.
it.
I'm
Sure.
okay with that.
150?
If that's okay with you guys, I'm just throwing it out there. Or we can just give them swag.
I'm fine with whatever.
One of you gotta make a move here.
Is anyone
I'll make a
golfing in it?
motion to donate $150 to the tournament.
Councillor Carlson. Any more debate on this? Any discussion? Pros, cons?
I'm just wondering if there's gonna be other organizations that are saying we're gonna have a golf tournament, can you give a,
We have donated to other organizations like the rodeo. We've given cash to them. It's not, we're not setting a new trend. And everything we do, we pick on their value to the community and.
okay.
Question? Oh, Marion?
Would you like us to also provide some swag?
I think a little bit of swag would be,
Should probably add that into the resolution, then $150 cash,
Make an
and,
amendment to the motion.
swag isn't the right word, but
No.
we'll-
promotional items.
promotional items, yeah.
What's wrong with swag?
That's derogatory. Okay,
That's what we're all about.
question please.
Moved by Councillor Carlson to support the Clarestone Fire Department's annual fundraising golf tournament on August 17, 2019, with a donation of $150 along with some promotional items.
All in favor? Carried. Verbal briefing. Marion, you're up. MD of Willow Creek and Alberta Environment Meeting.
Yes, so on July 10th, I attended the MD Willow Creek Council meeting, where Alberta Environment made a presentation regarding the Pine Coulee Reservoir. They do have some concerns about the water elevation in that, the water level within Pine Coulee. It's been reducing since 2015.
Mm-hmm.
It's currently at 67%. which is about 1,049 meters. When it gets to 1,044, they shut off irrigation. But that's also a concern for us when it gets to 1,044 because of our intake and where it's at. If it gets down, the top of our intake is about 1,041, so it would require pumping then into the intake to provide our raw water. So they're just asking, they were asking the MD to help them get the word out, educate the residents downstream of Pine Coulee, those that irrigate. They're trying to track those numbers. They want to know when they're going to irrigate and how much they're going to be using, because what happens is Alberta Environment has an obligation to transfer X amount of cubic acres of water into the Oldman River, and from the time it leaves Pine Coulee where it's metered till it enters Oldman is about a 3-day lag, and so if there's overuse, or I shouldn't say overuse, but significant use downstream of Pine Coulee that they're not aware of, then they may not put enough water out, so then they don't meet their requirements for their input into the Oldman River. So at this point in time, it's just something that they just wanted, the council to be aware of and ask if they could help with some education to get the irrigators and the users downstream of Pine Coulee to just start doing a little more reporting for them. That would help them manage that reservoir a little better. But Brad keeps close contact with Alberta Environment, and obviously we do have a water shortage response plan that we could enact if needed. They anticipate that if things continue, that by the end of August they may be somewhere close to that 1,044. So rain and snow and runoff and all of those things are the things that we need to hope for. They talked about Chain Lakes. If you remember, there was a big project done on Chain Lakes a couple of years ago, and so it was drained right down. It is full, but what comes out of Chain Lakes into there is just what comes over the spillway. So it's kind of a short-lived resolution to assisting with Pine Coulee. So just wanted to give council an update, keep you aware of what that discussion was.
I think the important part that we should get out to the public, this is not it's a situation similar to last year. We're not in a water shortage. We're not facing, restrictions. This is simply a warning for the irrigation, and the province wants to get a better handle on monitoring what actual water is put out by the irrigation. So if you hear people saying, oh my God, we're going into water restrictions, that's not the case here. This is information and just being ahead of the curve.
Can I ask where we got the water before? Pine Coulee's been about 20 years now?
We got it out of Willow
Just
Creek.
out of Willow Creek?
Same spot we're still getting.
Yeah.
It's just diverted into Pine Coulee, so we have a constant flow.
reservoir, yeah.
Because over the history of Claresholm, Willow Creek has run dry. So this is simply a reservoir that ensures that it's not gonna, we have a backup. We're always gonna have some kind of water. So even if we do get to the worst scenario where we're below the intake, like Marion said, we can pump into the intake and still get water. But I don't foresee that happening. This is just information. We're not in this crisis mode. This is just information.
Yeah,
And we'll
like
take
I
it
said,
as such.
it was more just for education purposes and
Yeah.
trying to get the MD to assist with getting word out to the residents downstream.
Yeah, so they can, to do
Start.
their paperwork and when they're on, how much they're using.
Just helps Alberta Environment better manage that system.
Yeah. Okay, we'll take that for information. Number 10, request for decision, Grantham Water Contract, Marion.
Okay, so as council is aware, the town provides treated water to the town of Grantham by way of the pipeline. And we've had an agreement, a water conveyance agreement with them since 2009. During the utility rate review, costs related to the supply, transport, and treatment of water from Claresholm to Grantham were reviewed, analyzed in detail, and were included in the discussion that we had at that time. The contract we have requires that we give 3 months' notice for any changes to that rate. The contract also states that we would charge cost plus 5%. Well, as you're aware, the cost for producing water from 2015, 16, and 17 was $2.31, $2.14, and $1.84 respectively, and we are currently charging 84 cents. So we're recommending that we provide notice to Grantham that we are amending those water rates, just like we have done with our own utility users in the community. We're also suggesting that rather than having a significant jump in their rates, that we stagger that over the 4-year period like we have done with our own utility users. So November 30th, we would, which is the 3-month notice that we would have to give, it would be $1.36.5. January 1st of 2020 up to $1.73.25. January 2021 $2.18.4, and January 21st $2.22.6. So that's the recommendation there. We did, I believe we discussed this at FIPSI or Audit and Finance, I believe it was, yeah. So we would be looking for a resolution just to provide notice to Grantham that we will be amending that rate.
I'll make that motion.
Councillor Schultz, any questions?
Nope.
Do we do the same for Stavely, or they get it directly from Pine Coulee?
Stavely has theirs from
Their own.
wells, got nothing to do with our water system. We provide to Grantham and the MD. And we have a new agreement in place with the MD, remember we passed just a few months back. So this is the only one affected right now. Any other questions? Question, please.
Moved by Councillor Schultz to direct administration to give notice of updated unit rates for water to the town of Grantham as per the town of Claresholm water supply agreement dated January 28, 2009 with the town of Grantham and the NV of Willow Creek number 26.
All in favor? Carried. Number 11, request for decision, annexation. Marion.
Okay, Custom Cannabis has requested that the town of Claresholm consider annexation of their property as they are currently serviced by the town for their utilities. The MD of Willow Creek is aware of this request, and we've discussed that administratively. So the steps for annexation is first, the town of Claresholm would submit a notice of intent to annex to the municipal government board. Then the town would also commence negotiations in good faith with the MD of Willow Creek. If we reach complete agreement with ourselves, the MD and the landowner, then the annexation is considered uncontested and would then not have to go through quite as many steps. A report including the outcomes of public consultations or negotiations needs to be prepared and presented to the municipal government board. Old Man River would provide that report for us, and then after all of that is done, the annexation is recommended for approval through the Minister of Municipal Affairs to the Municipal Government Board, and then, or from the Municipal Government Board, sorry, and then the Minister proceeds to the Alberta Cabinet with an order in council for the annexation. Once the Alberta Cabinet considers their report, it can be approved or approved in part, and then they issue an order in council for the annexation. So because we've had these previous discussions with Custom Cannabis and the MD, our recommendation is that council carry a motion to proceed with the intent to annex the land located at 427-1223 Southeast, owned by Custom Cannabis.
Councillor Schlossberger. Any other questions? Question?
Moved by Councillor Schlossberger to proceed with the intent for annexation for the land located at 427-1223 Southeast from the MD Willow Creek to the town of Clarestone.
All in favor? Carried. Number 12, request for decision, water servicing agreement amendment. Marion?
Okay, so this is in conjunction with the request for the annexation. Custom Cannabis has also requested that the property that they're proposing to be annexed into the town, that they are, there's an amendment made to the water servicing agreement with the MD of Willow Creek for the short term, up to 2 years, which could be the time period for the annexation to be completed, that they actually be charged the in-town rates for non-residential users rather than the two times the rate which is in the water servicing agreement with the MD. Again, we've had that discussion with the MD, and so we're proposing that council carry a motion to amend the current water servicing agreement with the MD for Custom Cannabis, subject to the annexation, that they be extended the commercial water rate for the town of Clarestone.
Any questions?
I'll make that motion.
Councillor Carlson? Question, please.
Moved by Councillor Carlson to amend the master water services servicing agreement to extend the town of Clarestone's commercial water rate to the property located at Short Legal 427-1223 Southeast for a period of 2 years in anticipation of a completed annexation.
All in favor? Carried. 13, a request for decision, South Saskatchewan Regional Plan Compliance Declaration. Marion?
Okay, the Alberta Land Stewardship Act sets out the guidelines and regulations for land use planning in Alberta, and the ALSA authorizes the establishment of planning regions, and the town of Clarestone falls under the South Saskatchewan Regional Planning Zone. The SSRP establishes long-term vision for the South Saskatchewan region and aligns provincial policies at the regional level to balance with Alberta's economic, environmental, and social goals. The SSRP is binding upon everyone within that region, including municipalities and provincial governments and its agencies. And each government body is required to review all of our regulatory documents to ensure that they comply with the SSRP. The town of Clarestone has completed our review. We've adopted the new municipal development plan in 2018, and we're currently completing our intermunicipal development plan, as well as we've updated policies, development policies, and our land use bylaw within the last couple of years. And so with that, administration is recommending that we complete the declaration of submission to the land use secretariat, stating that we are in compliance with the South Saskatchewan Regional Plan. The deadline for submitting that compliance declaration is September 1st of this year.
Any questions? If not, a motion.
I'll make a motion to submit the declaration.
Councillor Zimmer? Question, please.
Moved by Councillor Zimmer to submit the declaration to the Land Use Secretariat in regards to compliance with the South Saskatchewan Regional Plan.
All in favor? Carried. Request for decision, policy manual review and updates for council.
Yes.
Marion?
I'm talking a lot tonight.
Yeah, you are.
So this is just a continuation of the full town policy review that we're doing. This section is relative to council policies. The first policy was 2.0.01, which is regular council meetings. And this policy has no change other than changing to the new format. 2.0.05, council representation on community boards and committees. No change to that policy as well, other than formatting. 2.0.10, returning items to the agenda, the same as the previous two, no changes. 2.0.15 is convention delegate expenses. So there was a few minor changes made to that. We removed the mileage costs as they're already addressed in the council remuneration bylaw. And this policy had contradicted that bylaw. We also changed how deductions, if there's a reimbursement that's required, it used to say that it could come off your payroll check. Well, CRA doesn't allow us to take expenses off of payroll checks, so it needs to come off your expense check. So we just changed it to reflect that. And then also, we updated Part 5, which was for the reimbursement of meals, and that just aligns with the current CUPE contract for the rates of reimbursement. So we felt if we put the CUPE contract in there as the CUPE contract renewed, it didn't outdate policies, and we didn't have a discrepancy there. Then we had policy 2.0.50, which is the Chief Administrative Officer policy, and we're recommending that this policy be repealed as it only references the bylaw, and the bylaw supersedes the policy, so the policy becomes redundant. 2.1.01, which is the public participation policy, very recent, no changes to that other than formatting. 2.1.05, streaming and recording of council meetings. This is a very recent policy as well, but we did make one change to that. In the policy, it states that no outside recording will be allowed, and we just added a caveat to that unless that is approved by council. So if you had the media here, for instance, wanted to record, you as council could allow that.
Could allow them.
2.1.10 is delegations to council. The only change in that was just titles of individuals that we removed the secretary treasurer, which was the previous position, and updated that with communications finance assistant. So we have a number of resolutions are there to approve the updated town policies for the, 247 that we have amended, and then one to repeal the Chief Administrative Officer policy.
Okay, any questions on that? Okay, if I could get a motion to change those policies, update the policies.
I'll do the first one.
Councillor Moore? Question?
Moved by Councillor Moore to adopt the updated town policies as follows, effective July 15, 2019. 2.0.01, regular council meetings. 2.0.05, council representation on community boards and committees. 2.0.10, returning items to the agenda. 2.0.15, convention delegate expenses. 2.1.01, public participation. 2.1.05, streaming and recording of council meetings, and 2.1.10, delegations to council.
Any questions on that? All in favor? Carried. I get another motion for the Chief Administrator Officer changes, repealing policy 2.0.50. Councillor Schlossberger? Question?
Moved by Councillor Schlossberger to repeal policy number 2.0.50, the Chief Administrative Officer policy.
All in favor? Carried. Request for decision, policy manual review and update, CP, we did that. 16, request for decision, policy manual review, staff training and development.
The CPO,
No.
we, yep.
Oh, CPO, no, I was thinking CAO, sorry. Too many acronyms here. Okay, we'll go to 15, Marion, you're up.
Okay. I should have said this on the previous one as well, is these policy reviews have been discussed at the Administrative Services Committee, and the recommendation are coming forward to approve these.
Okay.
So this is, in June we had the opportunity to be involved in our CPO audit, and with that there was a review of the policies. In preparing for that, there was a number of policies that we noted were deficient. One was a public complaints policy along with alternative disputes resolution policy. We combined both of those into one, called it the exhibits handling policy. We also became aware of a bulletin that the Solgen's office had put out that required policies put in place for the safety of peace officers. One was a communication system policy and protocol, and a known risk policy. We combined both of those together into one policy called the CPO safety policy. So policy 5.3.20 is the exhibits handling policy. That's just a policy to dictate how the CPO is to handle, store, and document physical exhibits they seize or receive. So the policy basically states that the CPO will turn those exhibits directly over to the RCMP, as the town doesn't have the appropriate storage facilities to secure those items. 5.3.30 is the CPO complaint policy, and that just outlines the process for dealing with official complaints against the CPO. And then 5.3.35 is the CPO safety policy, as I said. It's basically what the town CPO has already been following, including the use of FRESC, which is the 911 dispatch service that we use, and also communication with the RCMP, and it just simply formalizes those processes. So if our CPO, with FRESC, there's an hourly check, it's a welfare check kind of thing that they do with them to keep in touch. And then also in the policy it states, if we have to identify if there's a risk at any address or situation that the CPO may be going into, and if there's deemed to be a risk, he would ask for RCMP assistance at those locations. So we would ask that those three policies be adopted as presented.
Okay, any questions?
No questions. I'll move to adopt the town policies as
Councillor
presented.
Zimmer? Question?
Moved by Councillor Zimmer to adopt the town policies as follows, effective July 15, 2019. 5.3.20, the exhibits handling policy. 5.3.30, the CPO complaint process policy. 5.3.35, the CPO safety policy.
All in favor? Carried. Number 16, request for decision, policy manual review, staff training and development. Marion?
Okay, in our policy review, we also noted that the staff training and development policy, there was inconsistency between the union and non-union employees as per the amount that they could claim for meals. The previous policy stated that there would be no reimbursement without receipts, where the QP contract allows up to a maximum per meal. So again, we've amended this policy just to reflect that reimbursement for meals where no receipt is provided will be at the rate specified in the current collective agreement between QP Local 3023 and the town of Claresholm.
Any questions?
Sounds fair.
Motion?
I'll make the motion, Doug.
Councillor Moore? Question?
Moved by Councillor Moore to adopt the amended policy 1.1.50, staff training and development version 1.1, effective July 15, 2019.
All in favor? Carried. Number 17, a request for decision, contract resolution. Marion?
Okay, in 2017, the town of Claresholm entered into a contract with Tonato Strategy for the purpose of rebranding the town. There was a breakdown in relations, and due to that, the contract was terminated effective May 4th, 2017. Further to that, there was a legal matter filed against the town, and we have come to a final resolution with that contract, and we would require a motion of council to accept those final terms. It's an unbudgeted expenditure, and also the resolution would require that the funding source be identified. So we're recommending that there be a motion to settle the legal matter with Tonato Strategy for the sum of $20,000 as per the settlement terms, and to be funded from general operational reserves.
Any questions? Everybody's up on this one? Yeah, that's the failing of the board. A motion, please. Councilor Schlossberger? Question?
Moved by Councilor Schlossberger to settle the legal matter with Tonato Strategy Inc. for $20,000 as per the settlement terms and to be funded from general operational reserves.
All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Number 18, request for decision, 2019 AUMA Convention. Marion? Oh, you're talking a lot, Marion.
I know I am. I had to get a mint so my voice would go away. So the AUMA convention is in Edmonton this year from September 25th to 27th. In November of 2018, we did book rooms because those blocks of rooms sell out very quickly. So we do have enough rooms for everyone to attend, but we need to cancel any that we may not need. So we're looking for RSVP within probably the next week, if we could know from you who plans to attend, and then also we can get you registered for the convention.
I'm going, and I may take somebody with me.
I'm going.
Anybody
You
else?
see the date of it?
September 25th to 27th.
Ideally, I'd like to go. I'll have to.
Well, you guys can get back to Marion in the next week, or Green.
Yeah, if you could just let us know, just, okay, can cancel, keep the rooms or cancel the rooms, whatever we
Keep
take.
mine. I'll be going. Okay, number 18, request for decision, no, sorry, I just said that. Number 19, request for decision. Painting a center line on the roads. This is an interesting one. We've been throwing this back and forth for years in town, so I'm sure Marion's got a whole
Yeah.
raft of information for you.
So this was discussed at the Emergency Services Committee meeting last week. The peace officer as well as administration and the RCMP have noted numerous and consistent issues of individuals pulling across oncoming traffic to enter or exit angled parking spots. It is a significant safety concern and a traffic hazard. So the Emergency Services Committee has supported this recommendation that there be the painting of center lines, because it allows the act of pulling across traffic to park on the opposite side of the street a clear violation of the law, which makes law enforcement officers' jobs a little bit easier when issuing those tickets or discussing that matter with individuals. So there's a couple of areas in town where this is really an issue, and we're recommending that those lines be painted. First is the section of road on 8th Street West in front of the West Meadow Elementary School. That is a major safety concern there with, of course, children and vehicles backing up in the wrong direction and those kind of things. And then the downtown core, the 100 block and a little bit of the 200 block of 50th Avenue West, as well as the same 100 and 200 block of 49th Avenue West, and then 2nd Street from 51st West to halfway between 49th and 48th. So it's a recommendation of the Emergency Services Committee that center lines be painted in the downtown core and on 8th Street West in front of the West Meadow Elementary School.
The town would do the painting themselves?
Yes.
I kind of figured for that money, you wouldn't get a contractor.
No.
Well, this makes sense because and I've known it, all the CPOs that have been here from our first one that was hired have never been able to enforce the laws on turning the wrong way into angled parking because the lines don't dictate it. So you'll lose in court. So this is, I think it's a good thing. It'll straighten people up and make it so you can find them if necessary to teach them a lesson.
It's gonna be a bit of an adjustment
It'll be a bit of
period.
I hope there's some warnings because I might even be one of those guys that occasionally do it wrong.
And yours should double.
Mine should double.
I'll move that motion or make that motion.
But
Hey,
that's
To doubles?
The double mine. Is that your?
Yeah.
Personal. That's kind of personal. Any other debate on this?
No, I think it's a great idea.
Question?
Moved by Councillor Schultz to approve the painting of traffic lines in the described areas as presented.
All in favor?
Yeah.
Carried. Number 20, request for decision, dog poop bags.
I don't know how to call them anything else. Sorry. There's probably a better term.
There's probably a better term for okay, we'll talk about dog
Yeah.
poop bags. Dispensers on Kin Trail and Frog Creek drainage. There are presently none. Marion?
Yes, so this was discussed with council back in January, and at that time, council directed administration to not install any more dispensers, but to monitor the situation. So the mayor has asked for this to be brought back to the table. As we're now into summer, many more people are using the trails and pathways, and concerns are being raised about the amount of canine fecal matter that's being left behind. So
That's a
if
better term.
dispensers are installed and bags available for use alongside with the garbage containers, there's hope that responsible pet owners will be more diligent about picking up after their pet. We do have some estimated costs in there that came from our January meeting. Mike did inform me today that they've actually been able to find a different supplier for the bags, and they've got about a 40% reduction in their cost of bags, so that's good news there. So the recommendation that has come forward is that council pass a motion to install 2 new dispensers and supply bags at the locations going forward.
So when you say the price is $6,000 for bags, that's for all of them, all the posts that are carrying dog bags?
Right, that's what we're
And it will-
currently,
That's what we're currently.
And then it could be reduced because Mike has found them
Right.
for 40% cheaper.
yeah, the 6,000 is what we were currently spending on bags, so 2 more dispensers would increase our costs.
Mm-hmm.
So it'd be more than the 6,000,
Yeah.
then he's been able to find a new supplier,
How many
so.
do we have right now? Do you know?
Two.
9.
I think we had 9, yeah.
9?
Nine, that's right.
I've only
Yeah,
seen
9.
2 in town.
No, there's,
Where are the other
Around
ones?
at the parks,
Oh, you got them at the parks also.
right?
Oh, so if it's 6,000 now, adding 2 more isn't gonna double.
Especially if it's
No.
going down the price.
and then you get 40%.
It'll be the same with the reduction in price.
Yeah, with the reduction, you won't be changing the budget at all. Well, I think
Other
I've had people
installation.
approaching me because I do use both those paths for walking. And I've had people approach me on both about the dog feces, not, that's a better word than poop, but. And you don't, like on Kin Trail, you don't notice it on the trail, so if you step off and look into the grass, and the same thing on the wetlands. You don't see it on the trail much, but if you just walk into the long grass a little bit, there's lots of people not picking it up. We're not gonna stop all of that, but if you go and do the same walk where the dogs are, in the 2 dog parks we have, you don't find that volume. So there is a benefit to having the bags out there. People will use them if they're there, to a degree, not everybody will. The people that won't bring their own bags, at least it'll catch those people. So there's a benefit to it. I mean, we've got these beautiful walking trails now, I think we gotta
Help
do
keep them
this to
clean.
help keep them clean, to maintain them. Any other I know you're,
Yeah, I was pointing
Yeah.
at you.
I'm of the same mind. I think the people that are using Kin Trail are out there using it as an off leash and letting their dogs go out into that long grass on the expectation that they don't have to clean it up.
I walk it a lot and I run into 2 to 4 people every time I use it, and the average person I've watched is picking up their stuff. But I'm only out there for an hour
Right.
a day, so I don't get volume wise to see a lot of it, but I think the average person is not trying to hide it. It's just they're not willing to go buy bags and carry them with them. They want a dispenser there. Otherwise, you see what happens.
Is there please pick up after your dog signs?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think we've already set a precedence. I think if we didn't have them, if we weren't already doing it, no big deal, but we already are, and I
We
think
already
it's
are.
just,
Mm-hmm.
Just carrying on the same trend.
I still don't think that will work.
I think the folks that are doing it there for a reason.
There's a percentage of them
I
will.
will support putting them up as an aid, but I don't suspect that it's
It's
never a
not gonna
full
stop
solve,
it. You're
but
right. It's
it
not
just-
gonna stop it. But it will knock it in, I would guess at least in half. Because if you go over to the off-leash area and look at the amount of fecal matter out in the grass, and then you go to these trails, there's definitely, those bags are making a difference. They're not gonna eliminate it. There's always gonna be those people that won't pay attention. All we're looking for is to help get it a little bit of control.
It's a pill I will swallow.
I still need
Awesome.
to poop, but okay.
The dog poop?
awesome.
Okay, Councilor Schlossberger. Any other discussion? Question?
Moved by Councilor Schlossberger to install dog poop dog poop dispensers. That's what it
Can we take,
Yeah, let's
No,
have
that's how it's
that.
written.
I know,
Okay.
could,
Oh, I wanna hear poop.
Dog poop.
could we
bag
not call it
dispensers.
dog poop?
Dog fecal matter dispensers?
That
No,
sounds worse.
What do you want?
bag dispensers,
Feces.
bag dispensers.
Feces.
Dog cleanup bags.
Pet pickup centers.
Fecal dispensers.
Okay, maybe we'll leave poop.
If I can say it right. Moved by Councilor Schlossberger to install dog poop bag dispensers at the entrance to Kin Trail, just off 8th Street West, and at the entrance to the Frog Creek wetlands, and to supply bags for the dispensers going forward.
All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Number 21, request for direction. AUMA Convention and RCMP K Division, Marion.
Okay, Greg Stannard here has been contacted by K Division wondering if council has any matters they would like to discuss with the RCMP K Division commander at the AUMA convention in Edmonton. They would only like to address any specific issues at the divisional level that really are, you know, of critical importance, and anything that would be relative to the division management. If there's anything just local, like local issues, they would rather that that's dealt with just with the local detachment. So if there is any matters that council would like to discuss, I will need to notify them and we'll try and set up a date. I couldn't think of any matters that we would
I
need
got
to
one, but
discuss.
Go ahead.
I don't know if it's proper to say or not. Is there anything that the RCMP would like us to bring up?
No, Greg didn't have any
No?
suggestions.
Okay.
Thanks. Good question.
The only question I got, and I don't think it's the appropriate place to go and talk to him about it, is the building they're in. I know the building they're in is one of the oldest in Alberta. It is already past its prime, and there is talk of a newer replacement. So would this be the place to go and
I think that'd be a discussion we need to have here at the local level first.
first?
Yeah.
And see what
So that was why I was very careful about putting that forward. But it is something I think we should follow up on. Okay, so we'll just take this for information and move on. 22, financial report, statement of operations. Take this for information. Any questions on it?
Need a resolution.
We need a resolution, yeah. Any questions on it first? Craig?
It's only one red number, but it's okay, I
Okay,
guess.
if we can get a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the income statements.
Question?
Moved by Counselor Zimmer to accept the consolidated statement of operations for the month ended June 30th, 2019 as presented.
All in favor? Carried. 23, information brief. MD Willow Creek circulation application. Marion?
So the town received notice of a meeting from the MD of Willow Creek in regards to an application for a change in use for the manufacturing of fertilizer at the airport. The deadline for comments was July 12th. We did review the application and didn't identify any concerns. And so we did send notification to the MD as such. Now, the application is being presented at their meeting this Wednesday, July 17th. So if there was something that council members wish to hear or speak to at that meeting, we could still try and provide notice. But the deadline, because it was gonna be gone past before council meeting, we just sent the letter back.
I see no issue with this. Is anybody? I mean, it's
I
great for the
just-
town.
I just wanna know what type of, like,
Fertilizer?
yeah.
It's a natural fertilizer. It's,
You know, the only reason why I ask is
it's
'cause
findings.
it's like
Roundup
right.
findings.
Oh, okay.
Like out of gravel pits and mining operations. And then there's an organic overburden that's formulated to spray on it to activate it. So it's a low impact, odor wise, dust wise.
Oh, okay. No, I was just, cause I see it's only the third hanger in or whatever.
It's in hangar 6.
Yeah, so the second one in. With it being close
And
to the
they've all-
ditch, and that's a drainage ditch down to the creek.
No, they're looking at all that.
Okay.
But the permits, we're just affected by what we'll get out of it. The dust, smell,
Oh,
this will be a low impact declaration.
Well, and we also own property
Adjoining
adjacent
it,
to
right.
yeah.
sounds good.
Okay, take it for information. Adoption of information items. Anything in there anybody sees out of the ordinary?
No, I like seeing a lot of completes.
No questions on it? Get a motion to accept the information items. Councilor Moore? Question?
Moved by Counselor Moore to adopt the information items as presented.
All in favor? Carried. Okay, motion to go in camera.
motion?
Councilor Zimmer?
Sorry, I didn't mean to do that in the middle of the yawn. Make a
All
motion to
in-
go into camera.
All in favor of going in camera? Carried. Could we turn the camera off, please? Okay, motion to come out of in camera.
I'll make that motion.
Councilor Moore beat you to it.
Counselor Moore, good job.
All in favor of coming out of in camera? Okay, we're back. So we do need a motion to accept the application for the FCSS board. Councilor Schlossberg? Question?
Moved by Counselor Schlossberger to appoint Sheila Karsten to the Clarisoma District FCSS Board.
All in favor? Carried. And a motion to adjourn. Councilor Carlson. We are adjourned. Camera off, please.